Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. If you're not building community around your brand, you will be left behind. I'm saying that straight away. That's the flag that I'm planting in the ground, the line I'm drawing in the sand. You have to be building community around your brand, or else you're going to be left behind. Now, recently, Matt, CEO of SPI Media, and I were both hired by another brand. We don't make this public that we do this, although we, I guess, right now are. We were hired by another company to help them build out and consult on the creation of their community. And this brand is Money Ripples with Chris Miles and Danielle Hollenbeck. And we're here today with them, both of them, to talk about the experience of what it was like to build this community, why, Chris has helped, several clients with investments and generating passive income, and he has several higher-end clients. And, you might not think, okay, each individual client may actually want to be a part of this community. But we're going to see exactly how this was built out. Danielle offers a ton of tips for helping increase engagement and just kind of wrap our head around this idea of building a community so that your clients, so that your students, so that your followers and subscribers can have a place to come together and connect. And so many incredible things happen when you do that. So sit back and relax. This is session 681 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. And if you are curious about building a community yourself too, well, make sure you get all the tips here. Make sure you unlock the story that this is hard, because it's actually a lot easier than you think. Danielle will attest to that. And then finally, at the end, I'll tell you where to go to get your next steps so that you can build a community as well. Shout out to Circle as well, which is mentioned several times here because they just make it really easy. smartpassiveincome.com/circle if you want to check that out. But here they are, Chris Miles and also Danielle Hollenbeck from moneyripples.com. Here we go.
You're listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network, a show that's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host, because he's got a teenager, he now knows what bussin', no cap, and mid mean, Pat Flynn.
Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Do you know the secret to businesses that are scaling faster than ever? They're using Upwork to tap into a diverse pool of skilled freelancers across various industries. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level. I've personally used Upwork myself and can vouch for it. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help you grow your business. That's Upwork.com. Again, Upwork.com. Chris, Danielle, welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, happy to be here, Pat.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris, I want to start with you. Money Ripples is a brand that is making waves in the financial industry. I want to talk about kind of how you got started with that and where you come as far as background and why Money Ripples. Why does it exist?
Yeah, it started out really me as a kid. Like I was raised like a lot of people were, like it wasn't like I was raised with a silver spoon in my mouth or anything like that. I mean, I was raised by parents that taught good values, but they just didn't know much about money, right? Money was always a scarce thing. For example, my dad would always say things like, hey, we can't afford this. Money doesn't grow on trees, What do you think I am, made of money? All those kind of things he would say all the time. And so I didn't want to grow up that way. So like any kid, any teenager, you want to do a different path from your parents. And so I wanted to be somebody who had control of my own time, my own freedom. And so I wanted to go more the business route. But even as I went into college, I realized I needed to have real business experience to actually do that. So I ended up dropping out of college, became a financial advisor because that was the first thing that came up. And I realized, hey, you know what? If I can learn about money and if I can even give my dad some of his life back because he thought he would work until he died, I thought this might be worth it. Well, long story short, a few years go by, and the next thing you know, I'm the one teaching my dad about money, right? Even though he was like the penny pinching, tightwad type of saver, paid off his debt early and including his house. He stuffed his 401ks. He did everything you were supposed to do. But then when he had me come meet with him, he was 61 years old. It was right after Y2K. And he said, hey, Chris, what can I do now? And I looked at his money. I said, Dad, and look at what I see right here. If it weren't for Social Security, you better hope you die in 5 years because that's when you'll run out of money. Okay, what do I do? I don't know, Dad. You did everything right. You did exactly the way you're supposed to. And it really bugged me. Like it bugged me to death that the inspiration that got me to become a financial advisor was the very thing that now was being shaken, right? My faith was being shaken in that industry because I realized it wasn't working for him. And it wasn't just him. When I started to really open my eyes and look at people around, right? Like the other clients I had as well, they weren't financially free either. And neither were any of the financial advisors in my office. So why would I keep following the same exact path that my dad had done, financial advisors have been teaching, that still hadn't worked? And of course, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. That's when, I had some friends that were in the real estate game that taught me about real passive income, right? You talk about smart passive income. We talk about passive income on the real estate side. And they're like, hey, this is how we became financially free in our sometimes 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I started to learn from them, and I was able to become financially independent myself after I quit being a financial advisor. I said, I'll never go back again, and I'll just try to go on this learning path. Well, as I did that, I was able to become financially independent when I was 28 years old. And that's when I kind of had to ask myself, what am I going to do? Am I just going to be comfortable with my time and being with my family and just live a quiet life, which would be great. I mean, that's like the dream for everybody, right? It's just to be able to be work optional. You work because you want to, not because you have to. But as time went on, I realized that one, people kept asking me how I did it. And then two, I just love teaching. Like that's my real passion, is just being a teacher. So I came out of retirement in 2007, started to teach people how to do that, how to get out of the rat race and that kind of thing. And eventually, after I started one business in 2007, dropped out of that one. And then in 2012, launched Money Ripples. And that's really what the whole purpose of that's about, is creating that ripple effect through people's lives, right? Because I had seen how many lives we'd already blessed those previous, 5 or 6 years. And and the ripple effect it created within themselves, their families, their communities, and ultimately across the world. And that's really what we want to do, is create a ripple effect of freedom and prosperity for those around the world where they are free. They're really free people. When you're free, you have the ability to bless more lives. And that's what I really feel like I'm on this planet to do, is help people do that, to liberate them.
I love that. When I was in architecture pre-2008, I was reading a lot of financial blogs and really diving into the world of finance. I almost wish Money Ripples had started sooner so I could get on there earlier, because I was reading blogs like Get Rich Slowly by JD Roth, and a lot of these people who we know, old school Trent Disman from Simple Dollar. What would you say, Chris, is the Money Ripples philosophy when it comes to money? A lot of people, like JD was like, very diligent with putting into your 401k and enjoying life after you're 65 kind of stuff, which I was on that path for a while until I got laid off. But what is the Money Ripples philosophy specifically when it comes to finances?
It's basically what my shirt says.
Cash flow?
Yeah, cash flow equals freedom, right? I mean, the philosophy is this, that, what I learned is it wasn't about how much money you have in the bank that really creates freedom. Many of the clients that we work with are like the Dave Ramsey graduates. They learn to be good tightwad savers like my dad was, right? And then they realized they weren't free. Like, even if they paid off all their debt, they still didn't have cash flow, income coming in that would be able to help them feel safe. And that's really what we're about, is creating that passive income. We're kind of like Rich Dad, Poor Dad applied, right? We actually are helping people learn how to do the very thing he talks about in that book, and creating enough passive income where you're financially independent. You work because you want to, not because you have to. And that's ultimately kind of our goal, right? Is to get people free. And so that's the real thing. It's like, it doesn't matter how much you have. It's not about how much money you have. It's about what your money's doing for you to be able to create enough passive income and freedom to have choices and options in your life.
That's so good. That's so good. And it's very clear. The mission's clear. The statement, it's very much contained outside of what I see a lot of other people are talking about in the world of finance. And again, this is why I wish I had found it earlier. Danielle, when did you come into play with Money Ripples? Was it right away in the beginning? How did you and Chris find each other and then start working togetger?
So no, it actually was many years after Chris started Money Ripples. I guess going on 2 years. This summer it'll be 2 years that I've been working with Chris. And it is a little bit of a crazy story, because I actually just had my second son and I was looking through jobs. And I was like, I work for the travel industry. It was right at the end of COVID. Things weren't looking great. And I was like, okay, well, let's just see what's out there. What's there? Well, this job popped up immediately on Indeed. And I was like, Money Ripples, that sounds kind of like it's me. Like, I'm looking at the core values. These are really applying to what I like. Then I looked a little bit more into the business about passive income and investing and real estate. My husband already was a property manager. We had wanted to start doing passive investing. My mentor was teaching us kind of how to start doing it. So I was like, okay, this sounds like the perfect fit. Let's apply. Didn't apply for another job. Got a call a week later and got the whole interview process going. And I swear, in our first interview, Chris and I both are like, it just seemed right. Like, it wasn't even an interview. We just kind of knew at that moment.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was great. I mean, perfect fit, best company I could have ever found, because everything just aligns with who I am, what I believe in, and then seeing our clients, seeing who we get to work with. It's just people that, I would choose as friends, but then, I don't have to do that because they come to us. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And I know, we've been working together with your community recently, and I know that you take such good care of your clients. You're always talking about your clients, and those are your number one people. What did you come on for? What was specifically the position that you had applied for, Danielle?
Yeah, so I am Chief Marketing Officer for Money Ripples. Do a little bit of operations here and there too, since we are, a smaller team of people. But honestly, it's been great because our main business is marketing, since we are a consulting, coaching business. So yeah, it's been awesome. And that's where my whole background is marketing. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
That's great. And it's funny you say that, because a lot of times when we talk about your brand and growing, it is related to who your client is and it's focused on them. That's what builds the marketing story. So prior to you and I and Matt working together on the Money Ripples communities, which again, we'll get into later, we want all of you listening to get excited about creating your own communities, because you're going to see how a business can really start to enhance the experience that a person has within your brand. And this is so important today, especially as things are becoming, information is freely available everywhere now. It's about the experiences that you're creating in and around that. But prior to Danielle, the community's coming on, how are you working with clients? What was that client experience like?
Yeah. So, I mean, before we had you guys helping us with the community where now clients communicate day to day, clients still had a little bit of a community feel because they'd be in one group call every month. So they get their one-on-one with their coaches. They can contact their coach, whenever they need by phone, email. But that's more of like a personal relationship just with your coach. So in the VIP calls, they got to have a little bit more open discussion where they're asking questions. You get to know a little bit of who everyone is, especially if you're in all of those calls. But we didn't have anything where clients actually could reach out to each other and be like, hey, how did this investment work for you? Or, hey, well, how has this strategy worked? Have you done it before? So, we've had clients since Money Ripple's been around more than a decade. We've had clients that have worked with Chris, that long, and they are in that community and they can say, yes, 7 years ago, I started doing this and this is what it looks like now. So a new client gets that little taste of like, okay, so maybe immediately, I'm not getting this huge ROI, but in 2 to 3 years, look what's happening. This guy's financially free now. That can be me in 5 years.
So there were little moments of your people connecting with each other, but nothing really formal. Chris, like what was the spark that made you want to now formalize the community and go even bigger with it?
It's funny because I had to get my ego out of the way a little bit. Because when I would do events, I used to do events where there were 3-day events, live events in person, and I would just try to shove down as much content as possible, right? I would just load them up, try to over deliver on so much value. And as time went on, one, I got exhausted, right? Because it's so exhausting to do that. Even when you bring in guest speakers, still when you're the main person on stage, I would collapse by that weekend. But what I started to notice, there was a trend or a pattern happening. And part of it was happening within myself because I noticed I stopped doing as much on the coaching side, even though we have coaches and mentors in our business. We started doing more with masterminds, right? More community-based type things where the community would actually help out other people. And when I started to, in my live events, I started to have longer breaks, for example, or I started to let the other people talk to each other, right? When I started to open up that time, many of them would give me feedback at those events saying, Chris, like, I love what you do and everything you taught is amazing. You've blessed my life. But talking to Jim over here, absolutely this was the biggest thing I got out of the event was be able to talk to this person or talk to these other people and get their experiences. Because Chris, you're great, but you're already where I want to be. I want to talk to other colleagues that are in the same place as I am, deal with the same struggles and fears that I'm currently dealing with to make me feel like I'm not alone in the world, that I actually that it's not unique to me, that maybe my fears are just like other people's. And then they gave me some insight in how they were able to overcome those fears and I could do. And for my ego, that was hard to accept. I thought, at first I thought, well, that's great. Then I thought, well, yeah, but why am I wasting my breath?
Right.
And I think that's when I realized that a community helping each other. So even when we do Zoom calls, I started to have people talk to each other more and more. And they would say, oh, can I talk to this person offline? I have to make these email introductions and everything else. Now it just makes it so much easier with the community you've helped us set up that we don't have to try to play middleman, right? We can actually let them serve each other, which actually further bonds community. We even tell people when they come in, we say, welcome to the Money Ripples family. This helps gel that family environment. It gets people to feel like we're part of the same team, even if we're kind of the weirdos, right? We're kind of like Steve Jobs talks about. We're the kind of like the outcasts in a sense, we're the rebels.
Yeah, the misfits.
We're bucking. Yeah, we're the misfits, right? We're the ones bucking the status quo to do what we're doing financially, which is why we're becoming financially free while the rest of the world is not. And we want that to be bigger, so be able to kind of move the ship forward together as a crew versus just being all about Chris trying to help people do that. It's just a huge perspective shift and it's blessed my life big time.
It's literally the same story that we had at SPI. We hosted an event. It was great. Speakers, I was on stage, etc. We did a survey. The survey was like, Pat, the time with the other people there was my favorite part. It's like, well, why did we even set this whole thing? Well, we could just have a room and put people in and they'd be fine and they'd be getting value. And then 2020 hit and we're like, well, let's create that room, but make it virtual. So we ended up creating SPI Pro and then later our All Access Pass and all this stuff. And it's just been amazing. And it's been really cool because, and I think this is how you found us. It's like you've heard that we have created this amazing thing and wanted something similar and you did that. So Danielle, when you had this idea to now bring this online in a more formal fashion, what were the maybe curiosities that you had around that? What were the stories you were telling yourself about now formally having to do this, did you feel that it was going to be easy, hard, possible? What was going through your mind?
Well, I would say I had some doubts at first, just because time-wise, I was like, okay, this is going to be a huge chunk of time to build this community out. And man, it is going to just drain me to have to write all this content and then have to figure out how you put it all into this Circle program. Like, what is Circle? But then once I started to look a little bit more into what Circle was, how easy it was to use, Chris had suggested you guys as consultants to work with us, which honestly, 100% that made this process go from me spending weeks and weeks on something to spending basically 1 week really getting everything planned out into Circle and out, because you guys gave us that roadmap. That was the number one thing that made my worries go from like, okay, this is going to be such a difficult task that it's going to take me over a month to do it, from it being, okay, this is very achievable. We have the manpower to do it. I definitely know that we have the clients who want it. Mm-hmm. And, it's going to be a success, because if we set it right from day one, that's how you really make it successful throughout. Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. That's really kind. But it just shows you that it's not as hard as it seems, right? Yes, the platform Circle is great because that solves all the technical situations. But as far as like announcing this and launching it, I know we had some conversations that were specifically around that and the hard parts of that, right? It's like, sure, we can get people on Facebook or wherever because they're there already. Getting people to come over to another thing they have to sign in for is a challenge. How did you battle that? How did you get people interested enough to go along with this idea of yours to bring everybody together?
I mean, honestly, it came down to letting the clients know early enough on before we launched. We do these weekly market updates. So I would just put announcements at the bottom and it'd be like, hey, in 2 weeks, we are launching this community. Look out for it. Give them a little blurb about what it's meant for. Did that as a little ramp up 2 weeks before. And honestly, when it launched, we had within the first night I sent it a little later at night on a Friday night, like the email to sign up. We had 40 clients before even the end of the night log in, set everything up, and at least check out what it was. Even if they weren't already commenting on things, they were in there. So I saw that and I was like, okay, like any worries I had about anyone using it, the fact that 40 people already have logged on, that's great. I mean, I know they're very interested in it.
That's great. Chris, what do you think encouraged your clients to sign up so quickly for something like this? I think, we talked some notes about this, but with some of the older clientele as well, being a little bit more not as technically savvy, for example, like what gets a person like that to just instantly figure out how to do this and join forces with others?
It's not easy. That's the thing. Now, granted, a community in general is not easy. I mean, if you've ever tried to run a Facebook page, like a group page or something like that, like I would get some people engaged a little bit. We even have like a Money Ripplers Facebook page and, for just fans to follow. And even then, like eventually like it gets quiet and it's like crickets. It doesn't matter if you have hundreds of people in there. If they're not talking to each other, it's really difficult. I like some of the strategies you guys have suggested that I know that Danielle had implemented. Like, for example, if we did a video, and it was like a video that was saying, hey, this is a new update. You have to go to Circle. You have to go to the community page to find it. You can't get this information anywhere else. You can't go to YouTube like we would usually do for posting our videos. You have to actually go to this page. If there's going to be a live event, go to this page, right? So it kind of forced them to use Circle, right? It forced them to kind of get in the community. And as a result, it got them to also start to see each other's posts, start to talk a little bit more. And I know we're trying to do things to incentivize people. So like, give them like little incentives or rewards for being the most active user and things like that. So giving people some of those kudos. So it's not an easy overnight thing, especially for people that normally wouldn't be on a community page like this. Most people aren't big on social media that we have in our system. They're just people that say, Facebook sucks, or especially since 2020, it's almost like people don't want to have anything to do with something that's a community-based type platform, but they want to be connected, right? So getting them to use it and just getting them in the habit of doing it over and over, I think that repetition is what ultimately is kind of pushing people past that finish line. For
sure. And then also a big shout out to Circle, because once people get in there, it's very intuitive. People know how to kind of are already familiar with it from the beginning. Danielle, what have been some of the biggest surprises that you've experienced now that you've been helping to put this community together? And I know you have some other team members who are helping to manage it as well. What has been really neat for you to see happen, and what has made doing this all worth it for you think?
Oh, it's definitely the client interaction with each other and how grateful they are that we created this community. Craig, is one of our coaches. He speaks to clients all the time. And one big thing that they talk about is how much value a community has added for them. Because number one, they feel like they actually know who else is in this program and they know people who are like-minded, like them. Like Chris said, we are the outcasts in the world because not everyone understands or, thinks that this type of investing works. So people don't talk about this with their families or their neighbors because they're going to be called crazy. So they love having the fact that, oh, we have these friends in this community that I can go there, and beyond just talking about passive income, we can talk about our life and what's going on. We can actually make real friends through this community. And the second thing that for me has been is pretty rewarding to see is people who maybe were less active as clients, didn't ask as many questions, maybe weren't in there as much. I see them in there liking posts, starting to get like a little bit more warmed up to who we are. And they're starting to reach out more. They're starting to post themselves. So it's just good to see, okay, maybe they just needed that outlet to go to because they didn't want to constantly be emailing Chris or Craig or be asking questions in those monthly calls. So it's nice to just see that less engaged clients now have a place to go and, they're more involved in the Money Ripples family.
Chris, are you finding that the community, now that it's built, right? It took some work to get here, but has it actually been helping you save time? Are you finding that it is of value to you as the owner to have this, or are you finding that it is taking quite a bit of time and energy to manage? Still worth it, but how has it helped you beyond just like helping your clients?
Yeah, there's definitely a habit that has to be created with managing that kind of page, So I think the most difficult part is it's not super time consuming. It really is more about just getting the new habits established, right? Because I probably easily wasted way more time on social media than I ever did talking with our clients, So it's just switching those habits over. Once you do that, it's actually not that bad. And kind of go along with what Danielle said is, there's so much benefit for those clients to talk to each other, right? To get experiences from each other. Because sometimes for me, like I could say something till I'm blue in the face, and then someone just happens to say it a little bit differently, and it gives them that light bulb moment that they figure, oh, now I get it. It's like being a parent. I'm a parent of 8 children, right? And so you tell your kids something over and over, and then they hear one thing on YouTube or from a teacher at school or something. They said, "Did you know this, Dad?" It's like, I've been teaching that for 5 years. You haven't been listening the whole time. It's just like that. They're like your children, where they just happen to get it, and it doesn't matter. Like check your ego and take it aside. It doesn't matter where they get it. The fact is, it glues them together as a community. It glues them. It even gets them to sell it more. And the one thing I teach, even our coach, like she mentioned, Craig. One thing I was just talking to him about this last week is that even though you're a coach delivering value, as business owners, we're always marketing, right? It's that ABM, right? Always be marketing. We're always marketing. We're always reselling our clients over and over. It's not like I'm not like want to say it like it's like reselling the dream, but it kind of is. It's really reselling the value that you're trying to offer and deliver, and remind them of that over and over. And the community helps do that for you. Right? It helps them realize, oh, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm engaged. And the more engaged they are with our content, with our community, with everything that we're doing within that mission, especially when they're bought into those mission and core values that we have, that's when you know that they're there for life, right? That's when you know that it's become a part of who they are. And they also become the best referral sources too, because they're going to align with other people that also align with our core values and invite those people in. Having that community element seems like such a small, in many cases, it might seem like it's an unnecessary thing, allows you to have so much more leverage with these people and allow you to be able to create so much more and sell them on what you're offering so much more too.
For sure. They almost sell each other with all those interactions that are there. And as we often hear, people come for the content and they stay for the community. And that's so true. And it's so cool to see because, Matt and myself, we've been consulting Chris and Danielle and their team on this community. And so we were there even before it was created. And to see it now flourishing into a point now where you wake up and there's conversations happening that you didn't even know were happening, and questions are being answered, and that's one less email in your inbox. Like such like a benefit to have. And you had mentioned engagement. The more engagement that there is, the more likely a person is to stay and refer it and whatnot. So Danielle, what are some strategies that you figured out early on or you started to implement that encouraged those who are maybe a little bit more quiet and maybe weren't as interactive? How did you encourage those people to become more engaged and start interacting more?
Yeah, so actually per your guys' request, we started, if it was a subject that we knew, hey, this client is just a rock star at this. They definitely should be answering this question. We would start tagging people in it. So Craig, he'd go in there since he knows what people are investing in and what they really know. And he'd go in there and tag 3 people and say, hey, what are your thoughts on infinite banking? What are your thoughts on, this oil and gas investment? So he'd go in there and just kind of call people out a little bit, but it worked because they get the email and then they jump on and be like, oh, what does Craig want from me? And then they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm doing this. Let's answer this question from this client. And then that would cause, instead of just 1 or 2 comments on something, it'd be 7 or 8 because other people are interested in whatever they're talking about. Then ask that client, like, well, I have this question about it and this question. So really kept the conversation going. That was like number 1 for us that really got people talking. But the other thing is having the live events pretty scheduled, like a month ahead of time, right in circle. Because, we did a few live things before, like the monthly calls. We'd have operators do like special calls every once in a blue moon. But now we do 1 spotlight for an investment deal every month. We try it to do possibly 2. That's kind of what the goal is going forward, is we'd like to have 2. We do our VIP calls right in circle. And then if anything else, fun, unexpected, a new operator comes on, we let them do a little spotlight for the month and everything is kept right there. We even did a social to open up the whole community. And we had about 25 people jump on. And I mean, this social was thrown together like within a week. I was kind of like, okay, well, we got to do this and we got to make sure everyone kind of can meet. But I was very happy because it was at like 8:00 at night for some people, depending on where you were across the country. They went on, started talking, started to get to know each other. And, that's something I want to do again. Now that we have more clients coming in, it's just really good for them to get to know each other that way. And we just did some fun like Q&A, round table. Hey, who wants to answer this? I want to do some games in another one because it just brings that community together even more outside of, education. It's nice to have like actual fun things that you guys do together.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's the cool part about this beyond people just consuming your content regularly or on a blog or on a podcast. It's now they can have an experience that goes beyond the content with other people, other weirdos, right, that are out there. And to the people who are there with each other, they're not weird anymore. They're welcome. They feel like there's a sense of belonging. And that's so key, especially now because, like I said earlier, information is becoming so freely available everywhere. You got to create these experiences now. And that's what's going to keep people on for longer. I love what you said about sort of tagging other people if you know that they can contribute or you know that they've had experience with that before. That has worked so well for us. And even for me, I even tell Jillian, our community director, like, hey, if you see somebody who has a question that you think I can help out with, just tag me, because then I get the email. And if I get the emails like from Jillian, it says like, hey, Pat, I think you have something to say about this, or I think you have something to contribute to this conversation. I can't not go in there. Like I have to go. Like it would be very rude of me to not come in if somebody tagged me, right? And that's the kind of feeling that people who are maybe a little bit more quiet or don't even know where to go even getting that notification in the email that says, hey, Jim, I know you've had experience with this before. Would you have any tips to offer here too? And it's like, wait, what? What's going on? I need to click and go in. And then I see people talking about it. And now I'm not questioning, well, I don't know if people are going to like this or not. It's like, oh no, I was called to this space. Let me say something. And then you get that immediate sort of, the normal social media endorphins that come in when you post something and people like it and then reply. That's all built in here, but for good reasons, not because we're trying to send ads in front of people's faces all the time, right? And I think that's the big difference here is this is a community on a platform that you control and you can kind of create whatever experience you want now in a safe space. Chris, what's the future of the Money Ripples community? What's it looking like? What are some plans that you have on, not just growing it, but even furthering that experience with your people in there?
Yeah, I know one thing we're just starting to launch within that community alone is even having little mini mastermind groups, right? Like so people can band together on a smaller scale, not just being a very big one, which can be intimidating for some people. Having those like little groups, almost like pods that they have where they're able to talk with each other and be able to ask questions of each other in a more intimate environment. And we're kind of guiding that along, obviously, because it's just brand new for them. So we're trying to help establish patterns, but that's been great. But overall, I mean, and here's the thing, I'll say this is another side benefit I just realized when Danielle was speaking, is that when she mentioned the social, right, and getting people engaged, whenever we did our monthly Zoom calls, our VIP calls, it's in the middle of the day. So we know that people have businesses or they have their W-2 jobs, whatever they're doing in the middle of the day. Most people never jump on live. They'll listen to the recording. What I've noticed lately over the last few months is that our numbers have significantly increased on the live recording. And that's been very impressive as well, is to see that now people are feeling more engaged. They want to show up. Even if they're not talking to each other, they still are feeling like they're part of that community. They want to be involved. And that's what I really like to see is happening in the future of Money Ripples, right? Is I really want that community to, still have boundaries, make sure it's in check, because especially when you deal with investing and money type subjects, you got to still police it and monitor it a little bit and make sure that people aren't saying, hey, here's a great gambling type of investment to do to make people lose a lot of money. You don't want that to happen, right? But really to have that community help support each other. People kind of stand out as almost mentors within the community, which we're already starting to see some people that have a lot of experiences and things that they can share. That's what I really want, is I really want people to feel like they are a part of the community, even if it's all virtual. I want them to feel like, oh, I know that person, or I feel like I'm getting to know these people, and that this is my tribe. And that's really ultimately what I want to have happen, because our ultimate vision, right? Our goal is to have 1,000 people financially independent by 2030. And that cannot happen unless we have a strong community helping support each other to make sure we get there. Granted, as coaches, we can help do that, but that's a lot of work. But to have that community help really just help alleviate the burden, right? So the weight's not all on our shoulders. We can be able to use that leverage to help move the company forward in the future. That's the only way we can have at least 1,000 families financially independent.
Yeah, your community almost coaches itself in a way with that. And that's what I always say about community. It creates a life and a heartbeat of its own, and it can serve in so many different ways beyond just what a single individual can do. And I love what you said about kind of like the live streams becoming more and more populated now. It almost makes me feel like they're so connected that they don't want to miss out. They want to be live with their buddies now and not miss something. And that's when you start to really know that people are connecting to something. So kudos to you, Chris, and Danielle, for what you've created. Danielle, maybe let's finish off with you here. And then we can direct people to where they should go if they're curious about Money Ripples and all the things. A person listening to this who's now encouraged, who maybe they have a lot of one-on-one clients and they're thinking like, maybe I can bring my one-on-one clients together, coach them through the objections that they have in their head right now that I don't know if this is possible. What would you say to them right now to help them understand that, yeah, it actually is, and maybe some first guiding steps for them?
Like I said, I had a lot of doubts at first. Main thing for me was time. And I know as someone who is a coach, someone who's a business owner, time is what really you don't have enough of ever. But Circle makes it so simple, so easy. They literally give you templates for how to build your community out. All you have to do is put your own content in there, which all of us have built out. Probably a Facebook group that has some content you can borrow from. You already know community guidelines if you've had any sort of community, anything before. And you have videos. Everyone makes videos. So if you want to post some videos in there, some welcomes, it's super easy. It doesn't have to be super high production. It's just about getting it put together and getting it out there, because that was, for me, the biggest thing was all the content I'd have to write, all the time building. That stressed me out. But no, once you get in there, you'll see how easy it really is. And it's not just you. One thing that I love about our community is it's not just Chris posting in there. It's not just me posting in there. We have a community manager. We have our coach posting in there. Our community manager, Leah, she alone has made this process a million gazillion times easier, because she can just post for me. I write something up super fast. She makes it look pretty, puts an image on there, gets it out to the community. Super easy. So if you have even one person helping you, this is so doable, so achievable. And it doesn't have to be anything super high level, super high production. All people want is a place to talk, a place to be together, and a place where, they know that they can reach you, they can talk to your team, they can be a part of your company. So don't overthink it. I have been known to overthink a lot of things. So don't be me. Don't overthink it. Once you get into it, you will be fine, because Circle makes it so easy. And if you really, really, really do need help, I highly endorse Pat and Matt. They have been awesome. Awesome. They are amazing.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Danielle, so much. And Chris, and congrats to you and what you've built here and what you are building in your entire community who just lifts each other up. Where can people go to learn more about your brand and the community specifically as well, in case they want to check it out?
Yeah, the best way you can do this, you can always go to moneyripples.com, and really just can get engaged there. We got a lot of content and things like that to help you figure out how to get engaged and how to do that more. I even invite you to follow our YouTube channel. We have the Money Ripples YouTube channel. We have the Money Ripples podcast channel as well, where you can follow our stuff and really just, if anything, just get some great content. Who knows? Maybe it's something that's a great fit for you too that will help move your life along to that next phase that you're looking for as well.
Love it. Chris, thank you so much. Danielle, thank you as well. And look forward to our next call that you, me, and Matt and the group will have together. But thank you again. This has been awesome.
Such a pleasure. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. I hope you enjoy that interview with Chris and Danielle. And congratulations on the success of your community. Matt and I are both so stoked that it is flourishing. It's taking off. Conversations are happening now. As Danielle said, it's not as hard as you think, but it still requires a little bit of effort, a little bit of work. And I wouldn't say that Matt and I are necessarily, quote unquote, for hire for this thing. This was experimental for us to see if we were able to help out because we knew we had a lot of information and experience to help out with SPI Pro having been built a couple of years ago and now our All Access Pass, et cetera. This has been an incredible experiment, and I'm just so grateful to see this community over at Money Ripples continue to flourish. And we do want to help other people, and the best way to help you right now is to actually, for you to go to smartpassiveincome.com/community help. If you go to smartpassiveincome.com/community help, you'll be directed to the best place to get help. Now, that will change over time, which is why it's community help, not community webinar or community training or community challenge. At the time that this episode comes out, we're actually in the middle of a community challenge. You've heard us talking about it quite a bit. If you are on our email list, you know that a challenge is happening right now. We also have a community course becoming available inside of our All Access Pass coming to you soon. But the best place to go to right now for you, if you want to check out the best next steps for you, is smartpassiveincome.com/community help. No spaces, no dashes, nothing. smartpassiveincome.com/community help. Go there now. We're excited to help you out. I hope this was helpful. And again, check out Money Ripples. Thank you to Chris. Thank you to Danielle. And thank you for listening all the way through. I appreciate you. If you want to get all the links and resources mentioned here in this episode, smartpassiveincome.com/session681. 681 again, smartpassiveincome.com/session681. Thank you again. I appreciate you. And I look forward to serving you in the next episode. And remember, smartpassiveincome.com/community help. If you're ready to build your community in the best way, it's not as hard as you think. Go check it out. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Sound editing by Duncan Brown. Our senior producer is David Grabowski, and our executive producer is Matt Gartland. The Smart Passive Income podcast is a production of SPI Media and a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Catch you next week. Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow. Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but they were clunky and super time consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place, recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio quality audio and high resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature, Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click. Hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? Score App helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.